What's good, everybody? Gamer Critic back, and once again, we're gonna do something a little different. This is like my impressions video, but this is a game that I actually finished, but just didn't have time to make a real review for. So I just figured, why not just do the same thing I did with my impressions and just make a quick review about the whole thing, where I just talk off the cusp, rattle off a few details, and this, that, and the other. And the game we are talking about today is a little game called Silent Hill F. The brand new mainline Silent Hill game in the series. It took me about 15 hours to finish, and I played it on my PlayStation 5. It's also worth noting, I don't have much experience with the Silent Hill franchise at all. My first Silent Hill game ever was Silent Hill 2 Remake, and I thought that was great. Some issues, of course, but I still thought it was great. And while I don't quite think Silent Hill F was as amazing as Silent Hill 2 Remake was, I still think it was pretty damn good. But what I did say earlier is true. I don't quite love Silent Hill F as much as 2 Remake, and that's because of a couple problems I kind of want to start out by talking about first, because while there are really only 2 big problems with this game, I do think that they're pretty significant. I want to start with the issue that I think is the biggest of the 2, and I'll just cut right to the chase. Combat, man. I'm thinking that Silent Hill is just not a great game for combat, which, again, fair. These aren't necessarily games I come to for their combat, but man, I was being really lenient with the combat in Silent Hill 2 Remake, but in Silent Hill F, it almost feels like it is worse. Now, let me be clear. I understand what they're going for here. Hinako is not James Sunderland. Hinako is smaller. She's not as strong. She is like, what, 16, 17? So I feel like thematically the combat makes sense, but just because thematically it makes sense, that doesn't mean it's fun. But in Silent Hill F, it really feels like every combat encounter is a struggle and a hassle, which again makes sense for the character, but you at least want the combat to feel good if that's the case. And another big issue with this combat is that since this game is not nearly as open, you are forced in these combat encounters. Like maybe 75% of the time, Silent Hill F is a very linear game. Most of the time, you are going to be facing these monsters head on. So you have to deal with this janky, not great feeling combat system, and you're forced into these battles that just at the end of the day don't feel fun. They're bearable at the start, but by the end game, I was dreading every single combat encounter. Every single one. I did my best to run past as many as I could, but anytime I had to, I was just rolling my eyes and giving the impression of, okay, let's get this over with. And it's too bad, because I was really interested in this game's combat. Like, a straight melee-focused combat system sounded very interesting to me, but it just feels like it wasn't fully realized, or at the very least, if it was, it just clearly wasn't given the focus that it needed, or the time to cook that it needed. So that's my biggest issue with this game. It's just the combat. It's the fact that you have to engage in combat so often with such a tight space when the combat is already not feeling that great. It made it easily, like by and large, the worst part of the game. But another smaller issue that I did have with this game is I really wasn't expecting it to be as linear as it was. Again, coming off the heels of Silent Hill 2 Remake, I thought we were gonna get something just a little more like open. Now I wasn't asking for open world levels of openness, right? I don't need the whole city to be explorable, but I thought we would have like at least a few more instances where like we could maybe go off the beaten path, maybe discover some more secrets, some more notes, and this, that, and the other. And you can do that a little bit, but it wasn't nearly as much as I thought. And I gotta be honest, that was kind of disappointing. But again, that's not nearly as big of an issue as the combat and stuff. It was just something I was kind of hoping for. I know I said 2 issues, but one other smaller thing I do really need to bring up is I wasn't a big fan of the music. I thought the music would have been a little stronger. There's definitely a few decent tracks. But throughout the entire game, I don't feel any of it was memorable. It's disappointing because I can definitely tell you there are tracks in 2 Remake I remember like right now. So yeah, was kind of expecting a little more. But here's the thing, just like with Silent Hill 2 Remake, where my biggest issue was its combat. Similarly with Silent Hill F, literally everything else in Silent Hill F, in my humble opinion, top tier. If we're just talking straight up hard, just a quality made horror game, Silent Hill F delivered hard. I don't expect Silent Hill F to be taking any awards for much of anything, but if there's an argument that could be made for this game on any level, it is, again, similar to Silent Hill 2 Remake, the art direction and the audio. Particularly the audio. The audio of this game is great. This is one of the reasons why I love horror games. They just do audio in a way that you don't see as often in many other games. The crunching of the leaves and the grass, or the squishy, gory nastiness of an enemy when you hit it. Oh, and my goodness, when the body horror comes, and the body horror does come, you can hear the blood spattering and the freaking gore just smushing around. Ugh, it's disgusting, but it's really good. It's effective, and the audio does an excellent job of just making you feel extremely on edge, you know? But that audio is in line with the visuals. I feel like in a horror game, you can't have good audio without visuals, and you can't have good visuals without good audio in any horror game. Those are the 2 essentials that you need. If you don't do those 2 things well, your horror game is not going to do well. The visuals in Silent Hill F, outstanding. This is an Unreal Engine 5 game, and it shows. Correction, it shows in the good way, because it runs surprisingly well. I didn't see any crashes or bugs. It's actually really impressive, runs very well. And the game definitely starts off a little, I don't want to say bland, because it still looked really nice, but definitely a little more subdued by the start. But that's typical, but that's pretty typical with horror games, right? It takes time for all that stuff to build up, because once you get to like 25% through the game and you really start seeing that fleshy flower growth taking over the schools and the town, and you see all the nasty creatures and the designs of the monsters and the way Hinako's dress gets destroyed as you get further in the game, it really is outstanding. I mean, some shots in this game just blew me away. Then, one thing I did love was the puzzles. Silent Hill F had really layered, really deep puzzles. Now, admittedly, some were pretty freaking vague, and that got really annoying. But I love puzzles in my games, and even the ones that got on my nerves, it just kind of gave me that, okay, I really gotta lock in with this one. And so it's just a game where the answers are always there, and you really gotta dig deep into it, and it gives you that great eureka moment once you finally figure it out. And there are definitely some puzzles that could have been a little more outspoken about what you need to do, but some puzzles I thought were great, like the scarecrow puzzle at the beginning, the entire school puzzle with the lockers, that was outstanding. But I think my personal favorite puzzle has got to be the puzzle that you gotta do in the spirit world. I don't want to go too deep into spoilers, but it involves your friends, and you need to open different doors to get to new areas, to find new items, to, you know, help you progress. Again, I'm not going to go into details, but that was a great puzzle. That was a good one. And of course, the biggest for this game, the story. This one has a lot of people divided. Apparently, from a lot of Silent Hill fans, this doesn't feel like a Silent Hill story or a Silent Hill game. I wouldn't know, only played the 2 Remake, but just coming in from a horror fan and a fan of 2 Remake, I thought this was a great story. Is it the best story I ever seen? No, but I was thoroughly entertained the entire 15 hours through, to the point that I finished the game in 1 weekend. That should tell you how engaged to the story I was. It was a game that had some good twists and turns. It was a game that had some really good acting. And look, the English voice acting was good from what I've played. It was okay. But honestly, I don't know why most people are not playing this game with the Japanese dub. The Japanese actors in that game are acting their asses off, particularly Hinako. I know good and well that she's probably not going to get too much recognition because, you know, everyone's gonna play the English dub and everything. But all I'm saying is this is a game that is literally set in Japan. It was advertised in all the trailers with the Japanese voice cast. I highly recommend you play this game with the Japanese voice cast. It's honestly very good. Silent Hill F is a game where, to really understand the story, one, you really need to pay attention, because if you just beeline the story without taking the time to really to read the notes or to read the journal, then you might walk away fairly confused. Thankfully, I read through every note I could find and went through my journal constantly, so I was fairly caught up with everything in the story. And at that point, the story, with all its twists, not only were effective, but everything made sense. This is a very tragic story that focuses on, honestly, really dark ass themes, which is something I'm really learning to appreciate about Silent Hill, because you really don't realize how much games hold back on touching on some issues until you play a game like this. You don't see too many games touch on stuff like this. You really do respect it, because a lot of people, including myself, we're kind of worried that this game might hold back a little bit because, you know, we're in 2025. You can piss anybody off now if you try hard enough, right? But no, Silent Hill F, it takes the material and doesn't hold back, and I respect that. And I'm not just talking in its gore and its blood, because it does get real nasty and gory, but just with its themes, and I really respect that. A lot of people definitely had some gripes with the ending, but even then, I thought the ending was solid. But I can understand some people's issue with it, because at the end of the day, this is a game where you need to play through multiple times to get the other endings and the true ending. I'm not gonna do that. I already watched all the endings off YouTube, and I gotta be honest, this is still top 2 personal favorite, because yes, it's dark, but it's also just a really realistic ending to everything. Don't worry, I'm not going into spoilers, but it was just a strong ending, and personally, I liked it. But if you do want to get the better endings or the real ending, you are gonna have to play through Silent Hill F multiple times. But who knows? Like I said, I really enjoyed the game, so I might actually just make that happen. Because what I'm saying is true. Despite my slightly greater issues with Silent Hill F, I still had a grand time. I would still easily recommend Silent Hill F to anybody that has a deep love for horror, dark themes, or just a deep love for Japanese culture. I really love that Silent Hill F embraces that Japanese culture. It really gives it such a unique identity, and I love it. So all in all, Silent Hill F, damn good game, and a game that really needed to do well. Because Silent Hill F actually has a lot riding on it. Mind you, 2 remake, as amazing as it was, it's still a remake, and that's no shade. But as a remake, you essentially are being propped up by an already very strong foundation. And Silent Hill 2 Remake is the remake of what was already not just the best game in that franchise, but still considered one of the best horror games ever. Silent Hill F is the first mainline title in years, and it's Konami's first attempt at really bringing the franchise back. So yeah, this game actually has a lot riding on it, and surprisingly, it delivered. Silent Hill F is far from perfect, but I would still say, if just for the visuals and the audio, the story, and the puzzles, it was still, in my personal opinion, a damn good time. And that was my brief game review on Silent Hill F. Really good game. Really enjoyed just putting in the 15 hours to get that done. Enjoyed that. Let me know what you thought of Silent Hill F. If you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. It helps a ton. If you want to stay up to date with what I'm doing, you can follow me on Instagram. That's @thegamercritic. Be good people, and I will talk to all of you very soon. All right, peace.